Welcome back, Pokemon fans. Angel of the Night here. We are back again with the Grand Challenge 2025. This is part 2. And of course, we are getting into our battle number 22 with team number 1. Now, our opponent here is going to bring in Blaziken and Pachirisu. Meanwhile, we are going to bring in our Ninetales and our Exeggutor. Now, with Ninetales, of course, that is able to activate the Drought ability, bringing in the Sun, and of course, that also activates our Chlorophyll, which boosts our speed of our Exeggutor by 2. Now, what we're going to want to do here, we're going to want to go for the Terrestrialization with our Exeggutor into Terra Fire, and then we also want to be able to go for an Expanding Force to hit the 2 Pokemon on the opposing side. Now, in order to do this, we're going to have to withdraw the Ninetales and come in with our female Indeedee, activating the Psychic Surge, which is going to bring up the Psychic Terrain. Now, of course, with the Psychic Terrain, that does give Expanding Force the ability to hit 2 Pokemon at once, which is exactly what we're going to attempt here at this exact moment in time. Now, the 2 opposing Pokemon, I'm not really sure what to expect. Usually a Blaziken would be a speed boosting kind, so very potentially there could be a Protect from the Blaziken. With the Pachirisu, a lot of the time I've noticed that they go for the Follow Me. However, this one here is going for the Protect. Obviously, it looks like they're going to try to scout things out here as they're going for the Detect with the Blaziken, and that means that my Expanding Force is going to fail this turn with both of the opposing Pokemon. Okay, so now my opponent knows my speed is active by ×2 in the Sun, and of course I've got the Expanding Force. Now, in order to bring all the moves away from the Exeggutor, I'm going to need to go for the Follow Me this turn, so that way we could redirect all moves into Indeedee, meanwhile giving the Exeggutor the ability to go for the Expanding Force. Now, they're going to actually withdraw the Blaziken here, which is obviously a smart choice. They're going to come in with the Rillaboom, and that is going to be able to change the terrain from Psychic to Grassy. Now, that means that my Expanding Force is no longer going to be able to hit 2 Pokemon at the same time, and as well, that also gives him the ability to go for things like Grassy Glide. Now, we did go for the Expanding Force here. That actually did take away half HP from the Rillaboom, and the Pachirisu ends up going for the Nuzzle. Now, Nuzzle, of course, is going to be able to hit the Indeedee and actually gives it a Paralysis. Now, luckily for us, we actually did have a Rocky Helmet onto the Indeedee, which means that we can get some damage off onto the Pachirisu, breaking any kind of a Focus Sash that it may or may not have. Now, we do get a little bit of HP back here this turn, of course, from the Grassy Terrain. We're debating on swapping out the Indeedee and going for a Sneasler here, because we want to be able to have the Psychic Terrain come back in at another point in this battle. So Sneasler is coming in. It is also a Poison-type Pokemon, which means that should be able to help us out with the Rillaboom. Patchy there, of course, going for the Follow Me and becoming the center of attention. We are going to go for the Terra Blast, that it should be boosted under the Sun, and it is a Fire-type move. So we actually pick up the KO off onto the Patchy. I don't think Pachirisu would have stood a chance in this situation, which is pretty awesome. Rillaboom, of course, being a Grass-type Pokemon, I'm surprised they didn't go for the Terra Water, but they are going to go for the U-turn, hit the Sneasler, go back to the party. So that means that they're going to be able to bring out 2 other Pokemon this turn. Could be Blaziken, could be Rillaboom again. Really, we don't really know what's going to come back in here at this time, but it looks like it's going to be Blaziken. We're going to get a little bit of HP there from the Grassy Terrain. Both Pokemon on my side are getting a little bit of like leftover HP, which is pretty cool. Flamigo comes in. Now, Flamigo is actually a pretty interesting Pokemon. It has Co-Star, which means it's going to be able to copy the stats of the Pokemon that it's with. Very, very threatening Pokemon for sure. We are going to go ahead and bring back the Sneasler and come in with the Indeedee here. We're going to take away the Grassy Terrain, and we are going to be able to set up the Psychic Surge and the Psychic Terrain there once again, hopefully allowing us to be able to hit 2 Pokemon at once with our Expanding Force. Now, the Detect is coming in from the Flamigo, which means that it's not going to be able to take any damage this turn, and of course Blaziken is also going for the Detect. Definitely not a move that I'm used to seeing. I normally never see Detects. But, I mean, 2 Fighting-type Pokemon on the opposing side under a Psychic Terrain probably isn't the best choice. Now, there is a speed boost here from the Blaziken, and that is going to be able to boost up its speed. The Flamigo will also copy that as well, which means it's going to be able to attack pretty fast. We are going to have to go in and maybe swap out some Pokemon here. I don't know if the Indeedee, well, I don't know if I swapped out here actually. I know I swapped out at one point. Looks like Flamigo is going to go back to the party. Rillaboom is going to come in here with the Grassy Surge, taking away the grassy terrain, or taking away the psychic terrain, setting up grassy terrain here once again. And they're going to go in for the Terrestrialization here with the Blaziken. So obviously in this situation here, I did not swap out the Indeedee yet at this time. They are going to go in for a Terra Grass with Blaziken, which is kind of interesting. I don't know why you would do that. We're going to go in with the Follow Me at this time, redirecting all moves into the Indeedee. We're going to go for the Expanding Force, and obviously that makes sense now why they did that. So that way they don't actually get one hit knocked out. They're going to go in with the Swords Dance here, and that's going to boost up the attack stat very, very high. The sun has now faded, which means that we are no longer able to have ×2 speed with the Chlorophyll. A little bit of HP coming in for all parties onto the field, and pretty much at this point I have to decide, am I going to go for the Follow Me, or am I going to swap back out to the Ninetales? Now, at this time, we did start by going in for the Follow Me and the Terrestrial of Fire. Not really the best choice here. I think I'm going to have to go for the swap out to the Ninetales to get the Drought. And then I'm going to also protect here also onto the Executor, so that way I don't take a hit from anything on the opposing side. Ninetales coming back out. There's the Drought, of course, coming back into play, activating the Chlorophyll. Realistically, could I have gone for the Expanding Force here to hit a Pokemon, or maybe a Terrestrial of Fire? Probably. However, they're going to go for the Detect here again and boost up the speed of that Blaziken. Obviously, they're going to try to really set up that Flamigo. You can see that here by them going for the U-turn with the Rillaboom, and they're going to come back in and get that Co-Star boost with the Flamigo. This player that I'm battling is definitely higher up in the strategic category. I would have never even thought to use the Co-Star of Flamigo. Most people tend to use it with Muck, with Moody, of course. So there's the speed boost, and of course the Flamigo has already copied the stats of the Blaziken. We are going to go in for the Heat Wave here, and then we're also going to go for the Terra Blast, hoping that we might be able to get some damage off onto this Blaziken. However, here is the close combat coming from the Flamigo. Actually, it's able to pick up the KO off onto the Executor, which is pretty impressive. But as you guys know, there was a Swords Dance, which is a times 1.5, I believe. And then, of course, the Flare Blitz coming in from the Blaziken into the Ninetales actually picks up that KO there as well. The two Pokemon that we still have remaining, of course, is the Indeedee and the Sneasler. We should be able to get the Psychic Terrain set back up. Of course, as you guys know, there's still a Rillaboom, so that could potentially change. The Speed Boost, of course, is still active onto the Blaziken, as that is its ability here. If I'm not mistaken, that's a hidden ability. Realistically, I don't think I have a whole lot of options or opportunities to really take out the opposing side. If we do come in with the Indeedee, we might be able to do a Follow Me and then go for the Rock Slide with the Sneasler, but that's probably the only option where I might be able to pick up that KO on the two Pokemon. We might also have to go for a Dire Claw into the Blaziken, seeing as how it's a Grass-type Pokemon now. So we are going to maybe try going for like a Trick Room here. We're going to go for the Protect. Hoping to be able to swap up the battlefield so that way slower Pokemon are faster and faster are slower. Seeing as how the two opposing Pokemon had those boosts, it's very possible this strategy might work as long as Indeedee survives. So there's the acrobatics there with the Flamigo. Not able to hit the Sneasler because we did go for that Protect. And then there's the Flare Blitz as well from the Blaziken going into the Indeedee, and unfortunately picks up that KO. Luckily for us, there was a little bit of Rocky Helmet damage off onto that Blaziken, and not enough to be able to pick up that KO yet, but it did have the recoil from the Flare Blitz, and that did pick up that KO for us there, so that's pretty awesome for us. Kind of bringing us one step closer maybe to victory, question mark. Okay, Rillaboom's going to come back in here, of course. That's going to take away the psychic terrain. Set up the grassy terrain here again with the grassy surge. And as you can see, we are still in a bad situation with this Flamigo. Now, we do have the rock slide set up. Unfortunately, we get faked out by the Rillaboom, which stops us from doing any damage, and then the acrobatics from the Flamigo. So unfortunately, we do lose this battle, but good game to my opponent. That's an awesome strategy, and if you guys enjoyed that battle, make sure you hit that like button, post your comments, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.